Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the king of podcasts radio network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Before we get started on the program, I got to tell you, there's a whole lot of wrestling, and it's very hard to keep up, especially every weekend. I kid you not. I still haven't had time to catch MLW's Fury Road. Fun because I had to go and find out where I can go and grab and listen and watch it. Because I wasn't going to be able to watch it live 6 o'clock after watching, I was at a football game that started at 6. The kickoff was this. Oh, no, that was Sunday, excuse me. 6 o'clock on Sunday. No way I was going to get a chance to watch that. Then I was going over to the movie theater to go watch AEW All Out. No way it was going to be done. Hey, I'm lucky I got MLW that I watched the week before. You know, I didn't watch the episode where they were setting up Alex Kane and Willie Mack. I didn't watch that part. But I did watch NWA Power, their new season, saw that, and all the young stars they got over there on that roster. And like I said, I did post shows best I could. Man, I did Payback this weekend, right? Wasn't there another show I was going to talk about too? I forget. Then I also had to do All Out on Sunday night. And I didn't get a chance to cover Fury Road like I hoped for. Just too much going on. I don't even know how wrestling fans are able to go and keep up with it. For me, it's to be able to have the time where I'm being uninterrupted. Even if I got to watch it on my phone, I want to be able to just have a chance to go and catch it and just be able to go through it and look through the whole thing. But I haven't had time. It's been tough. But I am going to watch that pay-per-view. I already found it. I just got to go ahead and take time to go and watch it. Take a few hours, go ahead and run through it and watch and enjoy it. I hope to get to watch that tonight, as I got some other work to go and take care of. So I got post shows. WrestlingIsReal.com. Well, not anymore. Well, the website's still working, but you know what? KingofPodcasts.com, right? KingofPodcasts.com has all of my episodes. Just go and click through the logo on the website and then go right to the show and you'll find everything. So make sure to go and do that if you haven't done so already. I'd really appreciate that. We're going to talk about the fact we don't have the Bloodline right now. Much of anything with the Bloodline to do with anything. Unfortunately, Solo Sikoa, nowhere to be found. Roman Reigns, we know, is going to take time off. John Cena is now in play to basically take that heralded top role right now while Roman Reigns is time off. And then the Usos are split onto the separate brands. Jey on Raw, Jimmy on SmackDown. So we got that too. And that was announced to Payback. So with having that kind of bloodline feel, that stigma kind of being set across both of those brands, where Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes and Grayson Waller was all set up, right? And then you had John Cena and Jimmy Uso head to head, all these kind of things. Got it. So to put them in some other places right now in the meantime, because we want to see them active. Okay. Is the Bloodline completely gone? I don't know if I'd say that, because Solo, Roman are still together. And I think the Bloodline still matters. I don't think the way you set it up where the full four-man faction is gone, sure. But I don't think the Bloodline is completely gone altogether. As long as Roman Reigns is back out there with Solo Sikoa at some point, things will be just fine. We know that is the main storyline on in the company right now. What's been the ongoing thing is who's going to take his place. Because right now we are officially smack dab into the off season. Right now the off season's here. Because we're going through Payback was just kind of like a setup. And it was really just to gauge to see what other acts are on the roster going to be set up for some real airtime, some real push, some real creative things going on within. And so what they did at Payback was solidify Judgment Day as the most dominant faction right now. While Bloodline is taking a break, the Judgment Day is everything right now. And it's set up, and I'm not here to go and try to compare, contrast what is the difference here. Not necessarily, no. But I will say is that while we have this storyline in place, we have something really good going on with the Judgment Day because of how they're set up. They are getting a lot of time. They've been setting up things where they've been on NXT in some way, shape, or form. Where they've been on Raw and SmackDown in some way, shape, or form. So the setup is fine. Listen, I got no problem with Judgment Day. We already kind of felt like that was the solidified second tier of storylines that WWE has. And then you got anything with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. And after that, I guess Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus. But then you take a bit of a tumble down there to mid-card storylines with Miz and LA Knight. Or I can't really think of anybody else that really just stands out to me that really makes it up that level of the ladder. But there isn't. But is it working? I mean, are we happy about this? SC Scoops put a good point of this a few months ago and talked about it. And they made the point that making the Judgment Day the next Bloodline. And they broke down what they thought was the reasons that would make the same kind of feeling that they could do the same thing with the Judgment Day. Judgment Day's only been around for a year, right? Plus. And so they said the Judgment Day could follow the footsteps. Not reproduce or imitate, but take advantage of similar brands of intra-group intrigue, which is what we've had with the infighting between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. They're obviously working on the merch. We now have been, with Damian Priest, presented Senior Money in the Bank, a purple briefcase. Cool. Monday Night Mommy for Rhea Ripley, the shirt. Very cool. External rivalries, which you've already had across the board for various different stars that are, getting themselves involved with Judgment Day. Where we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens losing the belts to the Judgment Day, among other things. And then surprises to bring around the next great faction storyline. So creating another storyline like this. First of all, they had the World Heavyweight Championship intrigue. So we know that Bloodline storylines have always had major title implications. And they keep putting the whole idea where Seth Rollins and Finn Balor could still be an issue where Finn Balor's a natural choice to take the strap, given his championship pedigree and his ongoing rivalry with Rollins. They've set that up. We know. Intrigue and infighting. Judgment Day has potential to generate some similar dynamics, which is where you have still the same thing going with all of them holding various trinkets. Everything. The idea of having a world title and the briefcase underneath the same group banner can help sell Judgment Day as dominant. Right now they're dominant. They got the tag titles. Dominic has the NXT North American title, so it's something for him, which makes sense. Get it for the developmental brand, of course. And then Damian Priest holding on to the briefcase is just as solid as anything else. And Finn and Damian now, tag team title holders, they have a lot of assets in their person. The membership has been steady since last fall. Some people might think that adding new blood may be a key to preserving fan interest and opening new storyline possibilities. No. We don't need to add anything more into Judgment Day right now. So the whole idea of the Sami Zayn inclusion as an honorary member, no, we don't need that. They don't have to go that route. So there's areas they can go with in the storyline that they've been doing, right? Advancing the storyline between Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio, well, they're basically the Bonnie and Clyde. They're setting that up like that, which has really been the appeal of Judgment Day in the first place. But now we have other things being added to the mix. They call back the fact that Rhea Ripley is now taking on some of the ethos of China, standing up for her boyfriend against male opponents. Yeah, being able to go and body slam other guys in the matches to kind of help interference. And Mysterio is coming into his own as a comedic heel. Now, the storyline of this couple hasn't evolved for months, and Ripley might start working intergender matches as a tag team partner or a gatekeeper source for Dom. and we might see some friction or even a full-blown breakup angle between the two. Right. That's going to happen at some point. We have that. That's all settled. But right now, they're just getting everything settled in. And honestly, between now and Royal Rumble, they could go ahead and play up that whole storyline right now as we speak, if they want to. But fans are invested enough that the next chapter is all but guaranteed to pop. What needs to happen is there has to be some kind of friction between them two, somewhere ever. Because right now, everybody is holding on to everything. So what do you build off of that? So that's the difference with the Bloodline, is that they have the romantic relationship. Now, we can't say it's romantic because they're just kind of together, but they really have not moved anywhere forward. Like Rhea and Dom are not necessarily doing anything romantic like or anything of intimacy to make them feel like they're but they're close. But there's the whole idea of where we could see that Rhea Ripley was basically using Dom if Dom kind of slips. You know, it's like there's a whole thing of just being used as a trinket, used and abused, right? When there's not enough use of Dom, they'll throw him away. So WWE has already planted seeds for dissension with Finn Balor and Damian Priest, and something is going to change for the faction in the future. The group will implode, but there's a good bit more potential than staying together longer and seeing where their messy partnerships might lead. And they can continue to go that route. Listen, it's exactly what happened with the Bloodline. They can stretch this out. What they need to realize is they can go the same length and stretch out the storyline as much as they can, because an implosion will eventually happen. There's a couple of seeds already planted. It could be where Finn and Damian will ultimately blow up, because eventually Damian has to go ahead and cash in that briefcase. And when it might happen, we don't know yet. But we've already seen that in the feud with Seth Rollins, Damian had kind of teased the idea, but it never happened. And as far as their tag team championships right now are going, then maybe there's something that's going to be happening where Damian probably isn't going to be doing anything with that briefcase anytime soon. By having these tag team titles, the whole idea of the briefcase and the World Heavyweight title opportunity is not even something that's considered right now. You know, Damian Priest isn't going to just go ahead and cash in that briefcase in just a regular match with Seth Rollins. No. But Seth Rollins needs somebody else to go ahead and take on next. So let's go with what he did in the storylines this week as to what the plans were to go with all this. Well, first of all, they set up Gunther and Chad Gable, McIntyre and Riddle being together now. They've been working on that for a little bit. And Jey Uso starts off the night. So we get a little taste of Bloodline. And Cody called him, and that's why he's on Raw. And some of the things in the past might have created some enemies here, but they know where to find them. Sammy comes out. Crazy to see him here. A lot of people in the back are going to have a problem with him being here. But Kevin and himself, they haven't seen eye to eye with Jey, but Owens isn't here tonight. And Sammy wanted to tell Jey face to face he's happy. He's here. Knows it was hard to do what he did. And Jey's now free. And he's really the main event. And he told Jey he's proud of him. And they both hug. So Jey Uso is a face now in this setup. And this is after Zayn and Owens lose the belts over the weekend. And apparently Shinsuke said he broke Seth Rollins at Payback, but may have underestimated him. While he was the one left sitting on the battlefield, he'll become World Heavyweight Champion. So Nakamura's going to get his heat back. He's going to go back after Seth again. They're going to keep that going. And then McIntyre and Riddle now together as a team. Apparently they're going to try to create the Team RKO feeling again of Riddle in another tag team, because you're not going to put McIntyre, Riddle, anything in a singles form right now. And then you had some interference with the New Day coming in. So them, Viking Raiders, New Day are all in a tryst together. Seth tells, when he comes out, that Shinsuke did everything he was going to do at Payback, and during the match, he didn't know if he was going to get up and continue the fight. He still were heavyweight champion, could beat Nakamura at the end of the night, and Nakamura was able to walk out of the building while he had to be helped in a wheelchair by his wife. Then Nakamura comes out, doesn't come to the ring. Another championship match is set up, or tries to get set up, and Rollins offered the challenge, and Nakamura says no. And Rollins says it doesn't work for him, and they have a brawl. And then Ricochet comes out after Nakamura to set up a TV match. So Rollins wants to poke the bear and bring Shinsuke back in for another fight. They want to go with that. I don't know if I really want that or not, but okay. And then we get the mix here, hopefully what was supposed to be like the real fruit bearing of Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch, and the whole setup of that, where Becky Lynch won the steel cage match, is Zoe Stark. So Zoe Stark is upset the fact that Trish pushed her away. Shayna Baszler tells Stark that she was wondering when she was going to get rid of that dead weight. And they set up a match. Dominic Mysterio's celebrating for his 1-year anniversary joining the Judgment Day. And Finn Balor congratulates Rhea for being still women's champion. So their whole setup, they have their nice long Bloodline style promo in the ring. And when they said that Rhea Ripley gave Priest and Balor an ultimatum about the tag team match, they rose to the occasion. And everything's right now good. They're truly brothers. They're truly a family. Ripley says it's bothering her that instead of people talking about the Judgment Day, they're talking about Jey Uso coming to Raw, what that means to the Bloodline. So setting that up. The Bloodline's fallen. The Judgment Day has risen as the most dominant faction within the WWE. JD McDonough, they still want to include in this, who means nothing here. I know people want to go ahead and get behind the guy, but I just don't see it. No. And so JD still wants to be involved here. He's just an outsider trying to play in. Again, the honorary Uso. They're trying to do the same thing and think it'll go with JD McDonough. I don't think it's going to work. And then JD starts making some points to them, saying that he's out here because Ripley said last week big changes needed to happen to the Judgment Day. And that Damian Priest, the briefcase needs to go because they already have all the gold. And he doesn't need the briefcase, pulled out a new briefcase, which was a Senior Money in the Bank briefcase, right? You know, the whole bait and switch. And the Judgment Day, it took all 5 of them, when Sami Zayn talks to them when he comes out, to beat him and Kevin Owens. And then they set up a match. And then a setup later on, we get back to Miz and John Cena. And, you know, they had this special guest referee with John Cena out there. And Miz says Cena screwed him over, pretended to beat him up. Now he wants LA Knight to a one-on-one match with no special guest referee. So heading John Cena into the mix as a buffer between LA Knight and The Miz. I mean, there's other things you could be doing with John Cena. I don't like it here. I know what they're trying to do because, like, the rub with Cena being involved in the LA Knight Miz feud, they think it's supposed to help. No. And like the other thing too is that, well, they have some of these stars they're trying to go ahead and include and bring into other things here with Zoe Stark and now Tommaso Ciampa, trying to set him back in here as well. Like, okay. And for whatever reason, JD McDonough is considered part in the Judgment Day storyline, how they want to set things up. And that Dominic was helping out JD McDonough in the match with Sami Zayn in the main event on Monday night. Whatever. These are the things where JD McDonough is a non-factor here. He doesn't need to be part of this. I would rather just take him out. So when you look at what they did with Raw this week, the one thing that comes down to this is that they wanted to go ahead and keep Judgment Day very much a part of things, and they did. Where you have Owens and Zayn and the setup with that, and then where they are with, you know, and of course Owens wasn't shown because of the bump he took on the table at Payback. They got to sell that. So adding JD into the mix, I get what they're trying to do, trying to build something off of that, but it doesn't do much for me at all. It's just, I mean, they're trying to get him in it as like a basically just this newbie from NXT that most of the main roster, or most of the main people that watch the main roster don't know anything about. And they expect him to be something where he's much more like a manipulator, much more of a maneuverist to get himself into Judgment Day. And why anybody's listening to him anyway, besides the point. And then you go to SmackDown from Friday night, and we go into that. They're making sure to go and just focus on the fact that Jey Uso returning to SmackDown, LA Knight and The Miz at each other, and this, of course, was the go-home show for Payback. And the LWO dealing with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, right? So among all what they had on here, you still got Lashley and the Street Profits very much underneath in the mid-card. Nobody's really paying attention too much to them. Then you had AJ Styles and Jey Uso head-to-head. And so Jimmy and Jey are off their own device. That's all there is. Now, when I got to say something when it comes to Miz and LA Knight, like I said, I think Miz is overpowered LA Knight in storyline. The impression was spot on. You might not say so, but it is. I don't think LA Knight's really done much to go and come back. The match they had to include John Cena as a special guest for free, not special at all. Nothing amazing about it. Like I said, the matches were mid. The match with Miz and LA Knight was mid. That's what I felt like. Now, Miz got the upper hand leading up to the match. But like I said, the match itself, nothing much. Like, I need more heat coming off of that. It just can't be promos. Now, Solo Sikoa was involved with Paul Heyman, so you still get Solo out there, but not featuring anything significant at Payback because it wasn't needed. And Solo Sikoa, they continue to make strong, beating AJ Styles. So that works all that well. But like I said, it's Judgment Day that matters. Jimmy and Jey split up and using the star power that they've gotten from the Bloodline and continue to incorporate the Bloodline into the storyline. That's the way they're going to play it for the next couple of months, with Judgment Day being the first and foremost. And of course, there's Cody and Seth. So they got things to go and look at and they're considered about. So that's fine. It's going to be status quo like this. So it's just a matter of how long, what are they going to do to continue to build anybody else? Is there anybody else that we're talking about here from all the TV stuff that we look at that's going to really stand out and do anything? LA Knight? No. I will continue to say no to him. I don't see it. I don't expect it. I don't know what he thinks that, but a lot of people really think that's going to happen. Because if I wanted to evaluate other people that's going on besides what they had on Raw or SmackDown this past week, of what they put out there and what could be done, we can ask the question. We can ask ourselves, okay, what do we think we're going to get? Right? I mean, who do we think we're going to get out of all that's said and done here that's out besides what's going on the Judgment Day side or Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes? Is there anybody else within that really stands out that we're going to say, okay, we're going to see something more? Becky Lynch is not even involved. Like, the whole thing with her, Zoe Stark's not even a blip on the radar because Zoe Stark has split off from Trish Stratus, so Zoe Stark moves on to something else. And Becky now wants to go and chase Tiffany Stratton. So she'll go after Tiffany Stratton next week. We're not going to say it's Gunther Chad Gable because of what's going on there. We're not going to say Shinsuke Nakamura because they've done so much with him anyway. And like I said, it's the things you want to do here where when they had the Sami Zayn storyline going along with the Bloodline as an extra unguent here, that's what they're trying to do here with JD McDonough. I want to go ahead and play what he actually said to them as we talked about it and just see if it really helped out at all. And if it made much of a difference. Well, let's take a look.
Priest just pinned Sami Zayn.
Here is your winner, Mr. Money in the Bank, Damian!
So the match is ending here with Sami Zayn and Damian Priest. And Damian Priest wins. And and JD McDonough comes out. I said it was JD McDonough. No, it's Damian Priest that had the match. And then they go along, and then JD comes out to raise the hand, trying to say he's involved. Here's more of it. And then JD McDonough gets pushed down. Let's hear what they said.
Get out of my business. What are you doing? What's the problem? What's your problem? Stay away from me.
Not sure if you made out what Priest said, but he told McDonough, stay out of my business.
McDonough winning the match.
Meanwhile, Kevin Owens is here, and now the tag team champions are teeing off on JD McDonough. Stunner! Priest is just looking on.
JD McDonough put himself in the line of fire for Damian.
See, they're trying to basically put JD McDonough, he's going to get involved, and now he's taking these lumps from Zayn and Owens as something to say that, okay, he's going to be part of this. I don't care. You could ask me if I want to care at all, but I don't. It doesn't make much of a difference. So there's the part of JD McDonough, then the part of the Judgment Day they're trying to build up. Does that make much of a difference? Does anybody really care about that? The Miz and LA Knight, listen, you want to go ahead and figure out that they're going to have, that Miz is going to help LA Knight get over the top with what they're doing? Anyone wants to go and expect that? No, I don't expect that either. Because let me tell you, LA Knight didn't feel like he gave me too much to work off of when I saw his promo on SmackDown Friday night. I'll go and play from that just to make my point.
What if there was an automated software that could make passive income for you? You've probably heard about chat.
The right hand of infamous. Let me talk to you. Here's the Miz with another one of his little infamous cosplay dress-up times, huh?
I didn't get that joke.
Let's go down the line. Who's he done? He's done The Rock. He's done John Cena.
Doesn't really get a good comeback on this.
And now he's done L.A. Knight.
And got him down in 1 minute. In 1 minute.
And you know what all three of those guys have in common? Aside from the fact that you can't fill out our clothes, you skinny little turd. All three of those guys are people that you want to be, but you can't. But you come out here and you say it's easy to be LA Knight. Let's go ahead and explore that for a second. I brought myself out of the sewer to stand right here in this ring. I've lived in the roach-infested apartments. I've walked the street when I missed the bus trying to get to work. I've worked every dirty job I could. I've slept in my car. I cashed my checks at the payday loan place.
Struggling. And the thing is that LA Knight has to be generic in what he's delivering here because he can't talk about his indie career. Won't be allowed. And really can't talk about what he's done in terms of his career and what his accomplishments were outside of WWE because they're not allowed. When you're in this universe, it doesn't matter what you did coming in. And that's the part that is going to be struggling for him. So he can't break out of that shell. Because if he was allowed to go ahead and say about what he did in his career and what made him a reason why he got in and made it into the barrier through NXT and into the main roster. Remember, everybody looks at him as a developmental talent that came in. Anybody that looks outside of that actually watches wrestling outside of WWE knows, like myself, that I watched Eli Drake. Okay? In various incarnations. But this right here, no, not much of a difference. And so you can see right now, LA Knight struggling right now to get to this promo to try to build the heat of a match that wasn't that good on Sunday night or Saturday night.
I did it all, and still I stand here, and you talk about it's easy to me. Pal, you would not last a day in my boots. But here's the thing. You say I'm not on your level. You're right. Because you got to come in, walk in on your glory from a reality show, ride the elevator up. Meanwhile, I came from down here, stood up here, so now you're telling me I'm not on your level? You're right. I'm above and beyond you. It's you who's not on my level, pal.
You want to talk about TV, about how we are different? See, you have failed where I have succeeded. A lot of people don't know this. He was on a reality show. You don't know it because he was first eliminated. You were on a show called The Hero, and you couldn't even be the hero. See, you have failed where I have succeeded. Real world challenges, Raw, SmackDown. 20 years it didn't take me to get here. It took me 3. Movies, The Marine, TV, Ms. and Mrs. I succeed because I am a star.
And by the way, Biz has all this stuff from what he's done in WWE to go ahead and come back as fodder. So Miz gets to be able to get the comebacks in. And this is what fails LA Knight. So anybody expecting him to be a bigger star and to be somebody that's going to be more stand out that can reach the level of the Bloodline, the Judgment Day, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, he's not. I just want to make sure to just keep putting this and keep hitting this peg until it becomes clear. Let me let LA Knight finish here right now.
Succeed because you took advantage of every single advantage that you had, and I can't fault you for that because I'd have done the same thing. But you talk about being a star. You weren't even a star of your own show. You talk about Ms. and Mrs. The star of that show was your wife. You were just walking around being a baggage handler, carrying the bag, and she carries your little giblets in.
I also wonder if he's being given the lines of what he has to go and say. So that was a setup for Tiny Balls, of course, but like, there's not much else to it. Really, there's not. Anyway, let's continue with LA Knight.
And that after Payback tomorrow, when I send her a broken, battered husband, she's going to be empty inside. But with one little call to this guy, we can fix that real quick. Yeah.
That's what they give him. I'm going to just tell you this. Listen, The Miz is beating up LA Knight in promos, and the matches are not selling much. That's it. And then you have John Cena doing the obligatory, raise the hand because LA Knight won the match. That's it. It's not enough. And I don't get what the crowd is into LA Knight as much as they are, but I guess they're just craving for somebody to go and have a catchphrase for. And if he has the voice of like The Rock or finally getting a little bit of Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of feel to it, okay. But the crowd's delusional a little bit. I mean, I don't expect the crowd to go ahead and be following what Peacock has and looking back at the Attitude Era with glee and like just saying, well, anything else that goes on now, we're going to own what we have now as our own Attitude Era. Okay. I mean, the crowd's into it. They're cheering for him. But the other thing is the WWE's not doing anything to help him at all. The crowd's just going to go ahead and just go along and clap like seals and give him the rub. But he's not getting anything from it. And he's not going to move up the ladder at all. Okay? He's with The Miz right now. It's a setup for another storyline. As far as I know, this guy's not getting a belt anytime soon. Nothing much else. What else are you going to expect of him? Miz is a setup that's supposed to be going for somewhere else. And if they think anything is going to happen here where The Miz is going to do better for LA Knight at the long run, no. That's not going to happen. I don't expect it. And that's the part that really sucks about all this, but I wish there was more to say about it. But there's not. It's got to make that point. And just look across the board of what they're doing and what's not working here at all. Right? So in conclusion of this part of the conversation, I'll just say that I think what's got to happen here is we just got to go ahead and take some time and see what else comes up. Because obviously Judgment Day is going to be what kind of replaces the real buzz of the Bloodline storyline. And they're doing a good job of that. They want to keep Seth with Shinsuke Nakamura. Fine. The Usos are split up in their own places, right? I mean, they have a few things that are going on, fine, but, they're limited on what they have in that main event. Without the Bloodline to go and go across, things are a little bit stagnant. So they have to find some replacements. And this is where, as I always talk about with the offseason, they need to build some stars. And there is, by the way, nobody, except maybe Tiffany Stratton, that really stands out. What are you going to tell me that Von Wagner and Braun Breaker going to be something special? No. We're not seeing anything from the stars that have been brought up. Okay, Zoe Stark, JD McDonough, Tommaso Ciampa. Yeah, maybe take some time. Sure, but I don't see it. And then I just say to myself, okay, what else is next? Who else will they have? Like, they're not going to go and pick apart other rosters to bring somebody in. I think with Solo Sikoa still being out there, they need to keep using him in much more prominent roles. I don't know what that would be, but they haven't had a belt on him yet. I'll tell you what, if you want to do something at all, whatever you decide to do now, as Rey Mysterio is holding on, or is it Curly Rey Mysterio is a champion, you could do something where you have Solo Sikoa go after a title. I think that's something we would like to see at some point go on, but they have to go on to the thing where now it's LWO and all they're doing right there. Something's got to happen here, so we have to figure that out. Okay, let's talk about Dynamite and what they're sending with that. Now, they're doing a really good job here in terms of where they have MJF and Adam Cole, and obviously the Better Than You Baby team has been prominent. Listen, they retained the World Tag Team titles. MJF is still World Heavyweight Champion. Now they're going to focus off of the MJF Adam Cole stuff and transition over to Samoa Joe, who now wants to get in the face of MJF. Meanwhile, MJF is waiting to go and find out whose opponent's going to be at Dynamite Grand Slam after the Eliminator Tournament. But we get a great storyline set up now with Samoa Joe going up against MJF. And eventually we might get a chance to see this play out. And I'll tell you what, MJF as a face right now, playing the face, has been good. But he still gets a chance to go ahead and throw in the barbs. And what he does that same to Samoa Joe, which was really good. Let's go ahead and play what they did. What they talked about tonight.
Now, pardon the interruption, champ, but I was in the back and I heard a little piss and vinegar in your voice and I realized that something was going on here and I wanted to get myself a front row seat and make sure I saw what was about to be said. So I'll tell you what, I'm out here, you're out here. What seems to be the problem, kid?
Now, if anybody saw, I did get the chance to see where Samoa Joe, I don't forget if it was a U.S. champion or what he was in WWE, but he was the title holder, coming out to the ring, and it was a young 19-year-old MJF getting pushed, and you saw it on camera. You could look for that on X if you're looking for that. And they took, without being able to go and play the footage, did a pretty good job of setting this match up with what they did.
Kid. Joe, this must be... Joe, this might be really embarrassing for you. I can only imagine the reason you came out here so fast is because you confused my entrance music for an ice cream truck.
Pretty good line, and he goes along with this for a while, but this is good. Hey, LA Knight doesn't have this. He doesn't have what MJF has. Just saying.
That's good. But to be quite honest, the last time I had anything to do with an ice cream truck, I was busy being the biggest star on the other company's network. No, Max! I am out here out of genuine concern because you seem upset, so I pose to you the question one more time. What's the problem, kid? That's kid twice. She called me quit twice. That's okay. That's funny. It's funny stuff. Real creative to say the same thing twice. Hey, you know what's really funny about me, though, Joseph? I happen to be a pretty creative guy myself. Hey, Indiana, who wants to hear MJF get a little creative up in here?
When MJF has the credence and has a chance to be creative. That's the difference, too. What LA Knight doesn't get to do.
Hey, everybody, look! It's Pillsbury Joe Boy! No Wait, everybody. That's Samoa Joe. No, hold on. Mecca lecca high, your schmeckle's tiny, Joe. Ooh. Jokes and venom. You know, that is a very interesting observation, especially coming from a guy whose bris is still postponed because the rabbi had a lack of stuff to work with, right? Now, Max, it seems that you're having a hard time comprehending what's going on, and granted, the time you spent out here with all these Midwest mouth breathers probably made you that stupid. So I'm gonna ask you again, and it might be the last time tonight. Max, what is your problem, kid? You told me kid one more time, I'm gonna knock your teeth down your throat.
Watch out.
Tell you what, MJF is a masterclass. The best promo in the business. And it's the part where, given that creative freedom, that's part of the thing that we don't get to have in WWE. Like, there somewhat is. I mean, it's a bit more loosened up, but it's one of those extra barriers that the company doesn't have right now. They don't get a chance to have that. And in any particular storyline they have, they don't get a chance to go and do anything at all to set things up. Right? And it hasn't been the chance to have that happen. And so when you got that going for you, what else can you do? So there's a setup with Swerve Strickland and Adam Page earlier tonight. And that setup, pretty well done, because they get a chance to talk some real reality, and they go along with that. So now you have Swerve Strickland coming for Adam Page's spot. Here's what was actually said.
Opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. You've been handed a silver platter. If I would have got the opportunities that you've gotten a year ago, I'd be the first black AEW world champion by now. So I'm going to leave you with this. Option A. You ride off in the sunset like them cowboy movies you used to watch as a little baby. Go off in the sunset. Let that contract fizzle out right next to your career. Whether it be in catering or whether it be on your house on the farm, I don't care where it is. It doesn't matter. Move out of the way and let me take that slot that you don't want. And I'll turn AEW into whose house? Or option B, you pony up, you man up, you cowboy up, you do whatever you have to do to find that little spirit inside of you, that fire. Get that motivation, get that confidence. Show me, show these people, show yourself what cowboy shit is all about. Or we could do this, and you could fight me for that spot. But forewarning, I have zero empathy for human life. I have no regard for anybody. You choose to do this with me, I will walk you like a dog. Either way, I'm coming for that spot that you act like you don't even want.
No. I've had enough of this year, okay? If you want to match with me, you go to the back and you get it, okay? But I'm done with this shit right now.
See, the difference is that, look, even with Swerve Scott, was Swerve Scott, now Swerve Strickland. The realism, the intensity of what they're getting and what they're able to go and say. We don't get much of it, not much of it at all. And it's unfortunate. But I'd like to get more out of, even when they're going to be in ring, just some of the promos that are getting done and what's being said. Like I said, an LA Knight being basically less of being generic and being basically neutered for what he can do.
There he goes. It's a shame, Hangman. It's a shame that your wife and kids got to see their father walk away from more responsibilities.
That is low.
And you know what? I want more. I'll tell you, I got a lot of good out of the AEW shows. And you know what? I know that AEW doesn't have the momentum right now in terms of the audience because it took a long time. Again, 3 years for the Bloodline to really build up the audience they have right now and the buzz that WWE has. Like, it took that time. But as we always learn, you know, when WCW was on top, it was, you know, probably a year or two too late. Because by the time they really got the numbers and the domination they were getting, you know, things were already starting to go and slide. Because right now, AEW is hitting a pretty good apex right now for themselves in terms of storylines, in terms of what they're doing. It just isn't, it's not resonating right now with ratings. I mean, they're still selling out shows. They're doing a pretty good job of selling out events, but the TV ratings are the one thing that's holding it back. And they're just getting all that TV time right now because Collision's only a couple months old. There was a big hit they took with college football this past weekend. That didn't help much. 345,000. And they're going to have Saturday night games to deal with and contend with on a regular basis, and they're not going to do well with that. They're going to have to either do some counter programming or something that's going to build off of that instead. I don't know what that's going to be. But, I mean, everything going on so far, there are factions within AEW that are really compelling and interesting, which is good. And that's the part where WWE right now is feeling stagnant, but the crowd is so much into it right now. There's nothing overly fresh or interesting except for Judgment Day right now, because everything else they have, they're dealing with a lot of stars they're trying to do something more with that came from NXT or have been just utilized badly on the main roster. There's not much to be done with them. Like, they're stuck with who they're going to deal with and who they're going to try to figure out to be best with right now. And that's what they go ahead and plan they're going to have. That's it. All right. So the good news is there's no pay-per-views to deal with this weekend, right? We just make sure I don't have anything they're going to worry about, because I keep worrying about, am I going to have more pay-per-views to deal with now that we're in the month of September, after that really long setup for everything going on with August being so busy? We only got 2 shows coming up right now. Impact Victory Road coming up. That's this weekend. White Plains, New York. So they're already setting up things for that. And No Mercies at the end of the month with Wrestle Dream, AEW Wrestle Dream in Seattle, Washington, October 1st. That's what's being set up so far. So let's go and quickly look at Impact Wrestling Victory Road, what they have so far. Matches are set up right now. Jordan Grace is back. She's going to take on Deonna Purrazzo. Josh Alexander is going to take on Steve Macklin. Anything goes match with PCO and Bully Ray. Now the PCO's back. I will take Jordan Grace over Deonna Purrazzo. I will take Steve Macklin over Josh. No, actually, Josh Alexander over Steve Macklin. Yes. Kenny King against Tommy Dreamer. And Tommy Dreamer's career is on the line. And Kenny King's putting up the Impact Digital Media title. I'll take Tommy Dreamer. Impact Tag Team titles. Rascals versus Motor City Machine Guns. And I will take the Rascals to win the tag team titles. I think they can always make that turnaround now. Leo Rush against Kushida for the X Division title. I will stick with, man, if they're going to have a change of the title, I will take Kushida over Leo Rush. Trinity against Alicia Edwards to the Knockouts World title. I will take Trinity to retain. How about that? And there was one event going on when it comes to NWA, which was really interesting. And it's so hard to keep trying to say the name of the event. Samhain. It's like an Irish thing. The Ultimate Night of Spectacular Wrestling in Cleveland. So we got that coming up. And that's going to be October 28th in Cleveland, Ohio. Halloween-themed extravaganza. The next pay-per-view they got coming up. By the way, I did like the way Power was set up now with Joe Galli and Danny Deals doing the action. Kind of really just streamlining the whole process. It looked good. It was nice to see all the stars in action. A lot of young stars out there, which is good. NWA's got a good thing going right now. I think that Billy Corgan's done a good job of rebuilding, replenishing the talent on the roster now. He's got definitely some acts that people are going to be paying attention to. EC3, obviously, with the World Heavyweight title. Kenzie Page, pretty empowered collectively with the Women's World title, the Burke, and the Women's Tag Team titles. And then there's a bunch of other stuff that got also going on as well with the Southern Six, and, there's some good things there. at Max the Impaler, yeah, they got a lot of good right now set up on that whole roster. And I got to commend Billy Corgan for being able to get that story, to get that whole setup of that organization back to where it is. Obviously, they're building more on the production, trying to go ahead and up that production look as well. You know, MLW did quite a bit of that for themselves on their shows. I didn't watch Fury Road, but I will watch it. Hopefully, maybe I'll give some comments about it next week. And then on top of that, the word was I read that Impact Wrestling is also going to be stepping up after Bound for Glory. They're going to be stepping up their production value coming up soon, which is nice. So a lot of good things to go and look at. We're in the off season. Things slow down a little bit now when it comes to wrestling. We'll have Dynamite Grand Slam coming up in a couple weeks we're going to talk about. But besides that, you know, not a lot of pay-per-views over the weekend to go and deal with right now, which is fine. But we'll leave it there. That's the show for tonight. As always, you can find the program, all my content, one place, kingofpodcasts.com. And if you go to the website, you can find out where to follow me on social media. I got all that stuff up there as well. And if you haven't done so, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube channel, because you know I put all my episodes up there as well. Just look for King of Podcasts on YouTube. I also have a link at the website, kingofpodcasts.com. And please rate and review Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. And until next week, come back for another Wrestling's Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.